Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. I will take a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Pursuant to our executive session, I'd like to make a motion that the board act to approve the settlement agreement between the town and 1112 Main Street LLC and sign the settlement agreement once the manager of 1112 Main Street LLC has signed the settlement agreement. And I would ask that the minutes reflected in approving this resolution of the disputed and doubted claim related to the malfunction of a wastewater system pump as part of an extreme weather event. The board is not setting any precedent in conjunction with this action.
Second.
All in favor?
Do you have any questions?
Can I see the thing that you want me to sign?
Yeah,
You have a copy of it or something?
I have a copy there, but did you bring one, Darrell?
No, we use your copy there.
Thank you.
I approve, we all approve.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We wouldn't make you sign it for nothing.
Thank you for all your hard work, Lori, appreciate it.
Thank you.
all right.
Fair enough.
I will take a motion to approve the minutes from August 5th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
One abstention, please.
Appointments, recognitions, and resignations. Request appointment of William Renault as a per diem firefighter to the Mount Desert Fire Department effective August 20, 2024, at a starting pay of $27.97 an hour.
Move appointment.
Second,
All in favor? Request appointment of Michael Slater as dockhand launch operator for the Northeast Harbor Marina effective August 20, 2024 for the remainder of the 2024 season at a starting pay of $20 an hour.
move appointment,
Second.
All in favor?
This next one is just recognition because it's moving within the department, and so it doesn't require approval by the board.
So request appointment of Todd Daly Jr. to the Buildings and Grounds position effective August 5th, 2024.
Move appointment. Second.
All in favor? And recognition of the resignation of Kobe Hamer from the Buildings and Grounds position effective July 26th, 2024. Be it so noted. Consent agenda, none presented. Select board reports.
the only thing I have is, I'm wondering if we could add into our regular agenda, a place for public comment. Because sometimes I think we don't actually have, I've been looking at other agendas in other communities, and there are actually public comment places, and I just wonder why we don't have that,
Well,
and if we could.
Do you mean in addition to people commenting on issues as they come up, but like, sort of like selectmen's reports? but-
Well, we don't often give them the opportunity, you know, if it's something we're all in favor, and then someone might say, I have a question, and if people come and they have a reason why they've come, I'd like to give them the opportunity to speak.
Mhm.
And I've spoken about this before. I mean, we have a fairly open sort of dialogue process, which isn't always efficient. I mean, in theory, in those meetings where there is a period of public comment at the beginning, folks have an opportunity to comment on the things we are eventually going to discuss. But I mean, that just wasn't the way that people wanted to go about it. So I mean,
I just wanna make sure.
Yeah, I hear you.
That we give them the opportunity to speak without having to say, can I talk? Or
You're
just-
talking about items other than the agenda items?
Not
Because we can always speak at
necessarily.
The agenda items.
but is that clear to them?
Yeah, I guess,
Yeah.
I think that's sort of what's like.
cause like we often say, put your, when you open the meeting, wait for me to open it up for public comment, and then you really never use those words, public comment. You say any discussion, but sometimes I think people feel like that's within the board, not for the public. Maybe I'm wrong.
well, as an executive session, it is.
No, I'm not talking about executive sessions. I'm talking about in general, if someone comes to the meeting.
yeah.
And they have something that they would like to ask or bring forward, and it may be one of these agenda items, or it may not. We just don't appear to give them the opportunity to speak. Maybe I'm
I think, I'm trying to think of watching Bar Harbor Council meetings from time to time. I think their public comment is for things not on the agenda.
But it's an agenda item on their agenda. that
Yeah, it
says-
is.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So it'd be similar to the select board reports, only for the public.
Yeah,
So if they have something to bring up, instead of just, sometimes people say something as any other business, and at the end.
right,
To just put it in there, that sounds fine to me.
they, Bar Harbor time limits theirs as well.
which I think is a fine idea. I just,
Mhm.
sometimes I just feel like,
So,
someone had their hand up, sorry.
I just wanted to give an example of a public comment. I came here to announce my running for county commissioner. And during the public comment, that's when I would do it. And I wouldn't be talking about an agenda or like that, so maybe it doesn't happen that often, but.
mhm.
that's
Oh,
why I would do it.
That's a
Thank
good-
you.
Good suggestion,
Can
yeah.
I get your name for the record?
My name is Sam DeBella.
Thank you.
Okay,
You live in town here, Sam?
Do I live in town?
Yes.
I live in Hancock.
In Hancock, thank you.
Stan, would you like to say anything else about your candidacy or?
Well, as I said, I'm running for county commissioner and hope to be unseating parity. I'm on the select board in Hancock. I was on the building committee for our new firehouse that we're done build, since bids come in. Originally on the firehouse, we had Lewis and Mom as the architects and the builders were forget right offhand, they're building the new visitor center coming in on the Trenton Road, Nixon and O'Day.
Yeah.
And we had a member of the community speak up and say that they thought the price, which was 2.2 million, was a bit high. And when we shopped around, it looks like we're gonna come in for about $1 million cheaper.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was the chair of the building committee, and we just discussed different locations. Which firehouse were we gonna kind of model after? We chose Mariahville. And we contacted the architect there, and he had all the information, everything written down, so we went with him. And I'm on the county budget advisory also. My mom's from Franklin, was from Franklin, she passed. And I had a gas station in Franklin back in the late 80s. I had in Franklin. So that's my story.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah.
All right, any other items?
So do you want to instruct us to add that to the? agenda?
Yes, why don't we do
Do you
that?
want a time limit on it?
3 minutes.
Well, no more than
I mean,
five.
that's important to know.
I would think non-agenda, public comment. 3
Okay.
minutes, or 3 to 5 minutes, maybe.
5 minute max.
5 minutes is a long time.
Yeah, it is.
How long did that take? That was good.
It's about 3 minutes.
I like 3 minutes. That sounds good.
Would you like me, excuse me, would you like me to place that before other business so that if you want to take it up under something under other business?
I think that's fine.
What about after select board reports?
That's fine.
So that, no,
Yeah, be fine, yeah.
either way.
Either way.
So do we need a motion then?
Yeah.
So I would, do we read where we want it? I would move that we authorize, and instruct the placement of a public comment on non-agenda items on the future agendas for our select board meetings. Sounds.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Was the public aware that they could have made it?
Well, that, I mean, yeah, as a follow-up, I guess what I was thinking with agenda items, when you say after you say all in favor. And you ask, is there any discussion? Perhaps it would make sense to say any discussion or public comment, or, because I'm not sure if they understand that is that a discussion amongst the five of us? And that doesn't require, you could say that if you want any discussion or public comment.
All right. Okay, we can do that.
We'll figure it out. Sorry.
So, Phil,
Would you like me to go now or is
Please.
there other business?
no, I think now it's good.
I'm Phil Lichtenstein, if you don't know me, most of you do. I'm the co-chair of the warrant committee, chair of the investment committee. And the sustainability committee. And here I come as a volunteer and I want to remind everyone I am a volunteer. The town has a problem. And I think it's time to recognize the problem we have at Sergeant Drive. It's been going on a daily basis for, I think it keeps compounding every day. I'm not an employee of the town, but what I visually see every time I go on Monday morning in the summer or Thursday morning during the week, I see the dumpsters overflowing. I see the recyclables falling out of the containers, all mixed the wrong way. I see volunteers try to get it out. But it's not the real problem. The real problem is we're the only town in the island that offers municipal pickup for both businesses and citizens. We come to the households twice a week in the summer and once in the winter. Everyone's bringing their trash to work. And you sit there all day long, there's this trash. So we have a 24-hour transfer station unmonitored. That people are bringing trash and recyclables from all over the island. Hey, I'm a caretaker, everyone. There's a lot of lazy caretakers out there. Well, I can't be bothered. They'll just throw it in the dumpster. Or you got people just turning up to work and dropping it off. They brought it to the boatyard. Maybe that's not such a problem. But I think it's time for a gate. I think we gotta fence this thing off and mitigate it all. I've discussed it with Brian. I think Ben Jacobs, your superintendent's extremely frustrated. I think they're dumping them 3 and 4 times a day. Howie? You guys don't get a free pass either down there at the marina. I think it's time to put a corral down there and lock it at night. Because both here and Seal Harbor are really highly, so I'd like to come back.
There's no doubt that a lot of caretakers use that dumpster.
So I'd like to come visit you all at a different time and come to your committee and see if we can come up with something for the marinas. But I want to go back to Sergeant Drive. And I think it's really time to do something. I've heard too many people say, oh, if we put a gate there, you need to have hours and you need to have an attendant. Again, if you can have an attendant. I know labor's difficult to find, but I think you gotta stop it. We got quite a few officers, right, that are maybe downstairs tonight. They could be up there making sure people aren't dumping everything off. And maybe a couple of visits from them a few times might just limit it all. And they sound here that maybe Mount Desert's cracking down on the illegal. It is illegal to transfer. It's not a transfer station. Brian could probably get you all the permits, but it'd be very expensive to go through the protocol, and I don't know if we have the space to dictate it to get a
No,
proper tractor. We're not looking to do that there. But it's a mess and it's embarrassing. And then what I see a lot of our, high tax residents, can't believe what they're seeing. It looks like the streets of some of the cities that they live in, and it shouldn't look like that.
my understanding was there isn't enough room for a transfer station up
That's
there.
correct. I don't think you get a compacted trailer in there. It's still.
It started out as a courtesy for employees, and we do need to do something about it. We could put a gate there. I recall when we tried to shut the lot off through whatever mechanism we use, we had people leaving their garbage outside. And then we put in some cameras. 2 rounds of cameras. The second round was high resolution. And I think one of the problems really exists in our enforcement. There's no reason why we couldn't go and find out who's leaving the stuff.
And it's just not fair to Brian and Ben's crew to have to be up there dumping and cleaning that.
Well, or any of the taxpayers.
Right.
No, that's right.
I feel for Brian and Ben's crew, but we're here on the tax dollars. If we're spending money for people to bring their trash from out of town or from other places, or we're picking up trash that, I hear you.
Thank you for bringing that up. I think it's a
Yep.
really
I
good
agree
point.
with you, it's disgusting.
There's reasons beyond just the trash for wanting to have that secured.
That's what I was just gonna
Yeah,
say. I mean,
sure.
it doesn't have to just be because of the gap.
It was something that I was intending to bring forward. It was just coincidental that Phil was wanting to talk about this. This is a plan I've been working on.
Good.
Something I want to do relatively soon. But I was thinking about it for the next budget cycle, but I can look into it. for
That'd be
This
great.
one, if you prefer to do it that way, you know, do in-house kind of construction project, but we can manage that.
I think it would be great for you and the, marina. Cause that one's,
I would agree to include the marina, only because I know a lot of people take their trash there, you know, and it's only meant for the people using the marina,
Right.
you know, but everyone brings their trash.
It's as simple as, in the marina, I think a really nice fence with a gate, with a key, lock it up at night, I think it'll slow a lot of it down. And it, you know, in the summer months, there's someone at the harbor master's office 24 hours for security anyhow. Since things calm down in the fall, I think it'll mitigate itself, especially when it's locked up at night.
I think you just have to let the harbor master know this is a priority, because we've brought it up to him in the past. And it seems like it, you know, it's hard for him to enforce it, if it makes sense.
I've talked to John about it, and he's on board with the idea of having it secured. The harbor, the marina is paying for a portion of that trash, so there is a transfer that happens that's paying for it, so because it is a service for those that are utilizing the marina. So when John and I spoke about it, we thought, you know, fencing it off and then having a code that could be changed on a regular basis, so those that are at the marina would have the code. And others would not, and that would be a little less hands-on for his staff. Because they could just allow those that are there for, you know, using the marina can have the code. But if you don't, and then that, again, I suggested to him to have a camera set up. A little enforcement gets.
only
gets
takes a
things
couple.
done.
Yeah.
You know, as we cut down the returnables bin, we move to another method of collecting the returnables where. It's up to the people that are bringing them to bag them for themselves and put a tag on it, and then there's a small crew of volunteers that comes and takes care of it. It's actually been working okay, but. It'll take a little bit of enforcement and some reminders, and you had suggested potentially having someone there. That's maybe a little further down the road, not for this season, but we can think about that for next season. But it seems to be working better, but I do have to check in on the cameras and refer it to dispatch and. Give them the information they need so that we can do that enforcement side of it.
So, should we make a motion
For him to,
to go forward, interact with John and come up with a solution?
For both sites.
I second it.
Any further discussion? Oh,
I would.
I thought that was.
Well, I forget, you can do that.
Again, yes.
John,
There we go. He's
So
gonna-
Nicole, okay.
Tiger's out of the cage.
I know, it's out, we're finished now. I'd like to make a motion that Brian and John Lemoyne go forward with this and work out a solution.
To a solution to propose or the solution to, I mean, do we?
A
Bring us-
proposal,
bring us a plan.
bring us a
Yeah.
plan for how to deal with this, these miscreants.
It will involve the expenditure, but.
I second it.
Good. Any other discussion? All in favor?
I want to thank the board for being receptive. I think also a small printed flyer that reminds every citizen that there's a transfer station in Southwest Harbor and you all have a $2,000 household limit.
2,000
Pound.
pound.
Construction debris. Thank you very much.
Any other select board reports? Unfinished business, review of the resolution of the select board to restore the working waterfront of Otter Creek.
Rick, did you said that you came up with a slightly revised?
Well, there was only one revision and it happens in the third whereas.
Yes.
Because autocorrect took advantage of me. And it says in the next to last line, process to be undertaken in cooperation. It's supposed to say in
Oh,
cooperation
okay.
with.
Yeah,
We're not incorporating it.
yeah, I got you. Yeah. Good.
Good.
And I did send you all memos.
Mhm.
Yes, you did have a chance to read.
Mhm.
And I think basically Noel had suggestions about how to insert this into the comprehensive plan.
And it's open for discussion and modification for any suggestions that anybody else may happen to have. It was a first blush attempt. At going from a policy format to an actual resolution that can live on until its goals are achieved.
Excellent. Howie?
Howard Motenko, Seal Harbor. So, first I want to say that I am on the advisory commission for Acadia National Park. But besides that, I'm here as a citizen as well, and mostly as a citizen of the town. And I just wanted to say that I thought that third paragraph that was mentioned just a minute ago was a little restrictive and only identifying Acadia National Park as the people that have a cooperation. And in other places, it's mentioned that aside from the park, you might need to speak with, if you don't get a resolution from the park, that you would have to bring it to the Department of Interior, meaning the regional office that Durham mentioned. And you can always bring it to the congressional delegates, and those folks, can change anything with regards to this. So it seemed like just restricting it to Acadia National Park is sort of narrow, and it could be more broadly.
Would it be satisfied just to add like, and other stakeholders or some?
Government, how about just saying government representatives?
Well, if I may, the only reason it was written that way is because I thought it would behoove the town to take an approach that portions of could be managed on a local level. And a simplified land acquisition for that boat ramp to turn around could be accomplished locally. With representatives of the national park. If you look further down to therefore, it does.
I
Talk
understand
about-
that, I understand it says it later on.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say it actually in the whereas parts. And what I'm suggesting is that is one opportunity to do this. It's not the only way to do it. And,
Right.
and you're narrowing it, that prospect to one opportunity rather than other things. It could be a three-way land swap. You don't know right now. Where someone says, I'll donate this land to the town, and the town says, we can do a swap with the park. I'm not saying that would happen, I'm just suggesting there are other alternatives.
Well, we could certainly incorporate that into the third whereas. To include the congressional delegation and any private citizens who may be interested in donating some of their land.
However, I'm not suggesting that that's the.
No, but that's a good suggestion, I think.
It leaves it more open.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good.
I hope I didn't take more than 3 minutes.
No, that's different. No, that's a separate part of it.
It's something completely unrelated to that.
That was the agenda.
Yeah, that's different. You can blabber and turn.
Well, I just wanted to suggest. That's
That's good.
Rick,
Good
thank you.
point.
Thank you
Yeah.
for working on
Yeah,
this.
definitely.
Well,
Rick, thanks for putting this together. Nice.
And I like Howie's suggestions about
Those
including
people
the
were
part.
nice.
So we don't need to act on that at all at this point? No.
So that be how that would go into the comp plan.
and I'll revise that third. Whereas
Yeah.
and get a copy to you and to the rest of you.
Thanks.
So
Then we can vote it.
the reason I didn't, as I told Darren, send it to all of you is because by email. Communicating with all of us at once. Would constitute an unadvertised meeting,
Right,
which is not appropriate and it's against our code of ethics, so
right.
that's why you didn't get it early.
Yeah, so once we get it, then we can vote it, and then we can, I'll
Yeah.
take steps to make sure it gets into a comprehensive plan.
Great,
Great, thanks.
thank you.
Awesome. Okay, review and approve recommendation to proceed with Solar Logics to develop final contract for 2 photovoltaic systems.
and this is something that was funded in the last annual town meeting, we're moving forward, we solicited, proposals from several solar installers, we received two. This is clearly the winning proposal, but slightly higher in their estimated cost of what the contract would be, and not significantly so. They did a much better job, and that was instrumental in helping us work through all of this process, and so our recommendation for this committee, the three of us, is to go forward with solar projects. And we'll come back to the contract, if that's what you agree.
Can I ask a question about, do we give the bidders, feedback on their shortcomings at all? I only ask this because I know that, well, Sundog lost this primarily because of their executive skills in presenting the bid. They've got a tremendously solid reputation for doing good work, as far as I know. I wonder if they deserve at least a message as to why a lower bid didn't succeed, so that they could potentially do a better one next time they have the opportunity. That's just, it's not a big
It's
town
public
business.
information, right?
I guess so, sure.
If they care.
Well, yeah, they're more homegrown than many of these other corporate entities, and so they're probably not as skilled in some of these things, but that's a soft spot I have for Sundock Solar. They do excellent. Fair enough.
Move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Thank you, Brian. Review and sign the contracted services agreement for human resources services with Zach Harris of Aloha Human Resources Consulting LLC.
You notice it's a specific task oriented as opposed to being the formal position of the human resource director. This is a consultant to take on projects that we're not able to do in-house, so the other areas that we can, we're
Thank you, Beth.
making arrangements to bring those in-house. But these are areas that we don't feel capable of doing outside with our current situations.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I would move signature.
Second,
Any further discussion? All in favor? Thanks. All right, new business, public space event special event application, Acadia Community Theater Cabaret Show, September 19th, 2024, Northeast Harbor Village Green.
I received a correction today. It's actually September 20th. And we did check the calendar. It is available.
Okay.
Move
Is-
approval.
second,
Discussion.
is there a stage that's gonna be built, or is it a platform, or is it?
I would call it a platform. We're probably gonna have, several sheets of plywood with 2x4s underneath it, so only lifted a 2x4 side.
Cause they did a theater thing down there a few
Yeah.
summers ago and
Yes.
constructed probably a little more than what you
Yeah,
guys,
I think we're a little more.
Okay.
Yeah.
sounds exciting.
Yeah, your name?
Sounds like
And I'm, Kate Young of Bar Harbor.
Sounds fun.
Are you on the board for Katy Community Theater? Okay.
I actually got to see the original cast of Cabaret in 1968 on Broadway. Just a little useless.
Will you be
trivia.
performing?
Probably not. I ain't no Joel Gray. He was the original.
It's way more than I need, Mike.
I'll move
At
approval.
your service.
Second.
Less amended, yes.
All in favor? Review and approve the use of up to $60,000 to the wastewater capital reserve account 5050500-24501 with an unencumbered balance of approximately $86,032.14 to fund the current year of Vortex Company's plan to video inspect, clean, and GIS map the town's sanitary sewer collection system, and further to authorize wastewater superintendent Ed Montague on behalf of the town to execute a contract with the same.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Request approval of the release of the settlement agreement between the town and 1112 Main Street LLC, and that the select board sign the settlement agreement once it is signed by the manager 1112 Main Street.
Didn't we already?
You guys already
We already
did
did
that.
that.
Office closure for Clerks Networking Day, September 18, 2024.
Think we need a motion to.
Yeah.
Accept the recommendation to close.
So just the clerk, or is that all of you?
It's only the clerk staff that goes to this, the office would be closed like we usually do on closing, where if they need to see somebody else, they'd make an appointment.
Oh, so it's the rest of you, okay, sorry, I'm thinking just you as the,
Me and my deputies, yes.
okay.
I move that the office be closed on September 18th for that purpose.
Second,
All in favor?
Thank you.
Review bids received for a general obligation bond to finance project approved at the 2024 annual town meeting, consistent with the requirements identified in Articles 29 through 32 and associated disclosures in a total principal amount of $2,845,000.
So for context, I have, on the agenda, I have the resolutions for both Bar Harbor and Katahdin because those bonds are very similar when you compare them. However, with a further analysis, there are some factors that you would need to know to make your decision. So firstly, the Katahdin they gave us the most favorable interest rate at 5.49%. Whereas Bar Harbor came in at 5.5. And at first glance, you would think that the 5.49 would be the obvious one, but they're going, or Katahdin's going off a 360-day basis, which means that their daily interest would be more than Bar Harbor with 365 daily basis points, their daily cost. So it's kind of a very small detail that kind of will get you there. And that the difference between those two is about $20,000 in Bar Harbor's favor, so we'd be saving $20,000 by going with the 5.5 interest over 5.49. Another factor to consider is that the for Katahdin, the stagnant, they provided an amortization schedule that said that their principal was going to be variable in the sense that their total payments for interest and principal was going to be stagnant for every year, so the same amount every year total. Whereas Bar Harbor has a stagnant principal payment, which means that it might be paying higher in interest for the next 8 to 9 years. But over the long term and the full life of the bond, we'd be paying about $286,000 less in interest by the time the 20 years is up. So it's kind of the big question here is, we either pay more in interest for Katahdin, but have a more favorable budget perspective where we have the same equal amount of annual payment. Whereas Bar Harbor, we would have less interest, $286,000 less interest, but the interest and principal payments, the principal payments are the same, but the total amount of bond payments each year would be variable, so it would be hard to budget for. Wouldn't know necessarily every year what exactly we'd be paying for this particular bond.
How variable?
So, great question. So for Bar Harbor, we'd be going with first year, $276,000, whereas Katahdin $237,000. Second year for Bar Harbor, we're starting to go down from 290,000, 283,000, 275,000, 267,000, 259,000, all the way down. So like I said, higher interest payments for higher total payments, but specifically interest payments for Bar Harbor. But at the end of 20 years, we would have paid $1.6 million in interest as opposed to $1.9 million in interest for Katahdin. But a more balanced budget cycle.
Right.
It's a budget cycle, it's paid the same amount every year, we know exactly how much we're gonna pay for the year. I mean, technically, if we were to have the amortization schedule from Bar Harbor, we'd be able to know. And it's estimable. I mean, all of our bonds that we have are We have different payments every year and we just estimate based on, you know. It's best guess, pretty close, but there is a variance, usually.
And the variance is.
It's pretty
And it
immaterial.
goes down also, it's not,
Yes.
which,
It's not a bad.
it's not, it's not the variance.
Yeah,
Anyway,
so those are things that you need to consider. With this decision.
so what do we need to do here?
Do you have a recommendation or you,
I would recommend Bar Harbor because $286,000 that would be saving.
Yeah.
In 20 years.
no,
And it sounds like we've handled this situation before.
We do all of our bonds with that we have currently with Bar Harbor, we have a stagnant principal payment, but technically a varied total payment every year.
Mhm.
And it's worked out, but Todd has been great, I've been there, has been a really fantastic contact, so I'm very eager to, hopeful to do their business with him.
Yep.
So that's kind of.
great, yeah,
So is this items E through I, all of them?
So I put them on the agenda for basically just, so you can, because they're so close, I wanted to give the option of
Yeah.
having either both, or
Appreciate
having either of them. And then so it's basically whichever one you choose, that's the one that you would approve, and then the one that you are not going to, vote no, essentially. But I wanted them both on the agenda, just so
Okay.
you knew that there was a comparison to account for.
We have to take them.
Anybody have any other thoughts?
Positive motion.
No, I think it's a good recommendation.
So item E, we don't need a motion because we're just reviewing the bids.
That's right.
So I would make a motion if I'm allowed to approve item F, approve authorization for this 20-year bond for Bar Harbor Bank and Trust.
Second.
I think Phil has a,
Bill?
So I also, from the investment committee, I totally back up going with Bar Harbor. Because of our relationship that we have in other places with Bar Harbor Bank and Trust, I think it's a really smart move for the town. You're about to drop interest rates the next 15 days. When do we have to eat this thing? Because they are gonna go down.
That is the worst thing I've ever heard. So, we're not that restrained to drop. Brian, would you?
We have these projects that are in the queue.
We have to move forward. That's all I have to hear.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
we understand, well, I understand completely.
I bet we only see 25 basis points at best, and I can count
Yeah, it's
on
not
that
gonna
we
be a
did
huge-
well in other places with the town's money, that it's not, it's significant. Something like that.
For me.
Because we're on hold, we would be on hold if we can't move forward with business that we need.
Which costs us more.
So,
Yeah.
thank you for being clear about that. I understand that.
good point, though.
Thank you, Phil.
Oh, look out for that.
Okay. We have a motion in a second.
Yep.
All in favor? Good.
Good choice.
And then we want to move in the affirmative for G also.
Yeah, and then vote it
So
down.
I would move that we authorize the issuance of the bond to Katahdin Trust Company.
Oh,
Second.
We don't have to do that, do we?
oh my God.
Yes, it's on the agenda.
Yes, yes, we do.
Yes,
Seconded that?
Me.
Great, okay.
We just voted down.
Right.
yeah. Good. All in favor? All against?
Well done.
Okay.
We get
Thank
it.
you.
Don't worry.
Okay, authorize execution of the bond document for the $2,845,000 general obligation bond of Bar Harbor Bank and Trust, effective on or about August 23rd, 2024.
Move execution of the bond to Bar Harbor Bank and Trust.
Second.
But any further discussion, Phil?
Are we in favor of this?
Yes.
I'm so confused,
Yeah.
guys.
Good. Okay. Authorize execution of the bond document for the $2,845,000 general obligation bond with Katahdin Trust Company, effective on or about August 23, 2024.
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed?
Thank you.
Now you can breathe again.
Any other business? Okay, let's move to warrants. Approval and signature town invoice AP 2513 in the amount of $284,038.
Move approval and signature.
Second,
Good, all in favor? Approval and signature state fees and payroll benefits AP 2511, AP 2512, and town payroll PR 2504 in the amount of $278,814.85.
move signature.
Second.
All in favor?
One extension.
Acknowledgement, school invoices AP 2, school payroll PR 04 in the amount of $419,646.90.
Move acknowledgement.
Second,
All in favor? German.
so
Yes,
Second.
all in favor?